I told my daughter-in-law I was not feeling well and wanted to stay home. She pressed her lips together, and for a moment, something flashed across her face. Relief, too quick to hide. Around noon, I heard a key turn in the lock. My son walked in, looked through the rooms, and slipped something into the pocket of my coat. He thought I was asleep on the sofa. He fumbled with the coat pocket, glancing around nervously. It's done. Call the police tonight, he whispered. Voice shaking, he whispered into his phone before leaving. It is done. Call the police tonight. My name is Linnea Carver. I am 65. I did not wake up that morning planning to pretend. I have lived long enough to know the difference between fear and intuition, and something in that house had begun to move in the wrong direction. It was in the way my daughter-in-law acted gentler when my son was near, sharper when he was not. In the way certain envelopes arrived with my name on them but disappeared before I could open them. In the way my son avoided looking me in the eye the past few weeks, as if honesty had become too heavy to carry. So when I told her I felt dizzy and might stay home instead of joining them for a late morning brunch, she said, "Of course. Mom," far too fast. Her voice was soft, but her shoulders dropped in a way that made me feel like a burden she was finally able to set down. I stayed on the sofa after they pulled out of the driveway. I tried to read, but my eyes kept drifting to the coat rack near the door. My winter coat hung there, blue wool, worn at the sleeves, pockets stuffed with tissues and old receipts. Something about the sight of it made my stomach fold in on itself. I brushed the thought aside, told myself I was imagining things. By the time the clock moved close to noon, the house had gone quiet in that unnatural way that makes every small sound louder. The heating system clicked. The refrigerator hummed. A car rolled by outside, then faded, then the front door unlocked. I kept still, lids lowered just enough to see the shape moving through the foyer. I froze, heart pounding, trying to decide whether to call out or move. My son stepped inside, breathing hard, scanning each room without calling my name. When he walked to the coat rack, my fingertips went numb. He eased something into the pocket of my coat, adjusted the fabric, and pressed his phone to his ear. When he left, the silence felt heavier than before, as if the house itself understood what I had just witnessed. I did not move for a long moment. Eventually, I sat up, placed my feet on the floor, and tried to steady the shaking in my hands. There was a time he would have come home only to ask if I needed anything. That boy felt very far away. I sat on the sofa for a long time after he left, my breath thin in my chest. Part of me wanted to believe what I saw was a mistake, some misunderstanding that would make sense if I waited long enough. But another part, older, quieter, knew I had been losing him for years. There was a time when he would run ahead of me at Belle Isle, turning back every few steps to wave, shouting, "Come on, Mom." His shoes were always untied, his hair always a little crooked. He used to pick up smooth stones and hand them to me like treasures. "You should keep this one," he once said. "It looks like a heart." He grew into a young man who talked to me about everything. When he landed his first job near Washington, he called from the parking lot, breathless. "Mom, they picked me. Me." I could hear the pride trembling in him. I cried after we hung up. Things shifted slowly. First, he was tired all the time, then distracted, then frustrated. He came to my house one evening, pacing the living room. "The numbers are off," he muttered. "The investors want more than they said." When I tried to ask questions, he snapped, "I am handling it. Mom, please." His marriage thinned under the pressure. My daughter-in-law started choosing her words too carefully, watching him with a cautious kind of love. He talked less, slept less, came by only when he needed documents or signatures. Once, I asked him what was wrong. He answered without looking at me, Everything is fine. Just let me fix it. But something inside him had already begun to break. I waited until the house settled again, until the quiet felt steady enough for me to stand without my knees giving out. My coat hung exactly where he left it, the fabric still swaying slightly as if it remembered his hands. I reached into the pocket. My fingers brushed something hard. Colder than it should have been, inside was a small pill bottle. Label scraped off, but not enough. I could still see the edge of a hospital logo, the kind printed on medication dispensed only inside medical facilities. I twisted the cap. I noticed the pocket stretched oddly, and when I reached in, my fingers touched a cold, heavy bottle. Rows of pills rattled, white and stamped, opioids, strong ones. A folded sheet of paper was wedged underneath. My name sat at the top in a signature that looked like mine but wasn't. A pharmacy form. A supposed refill request. My supposed signature confirming pickup. I whispered to the empty room. No, no. The sound broke halfway out. I spent more than 30 years working in hospital billing. I knew what forged paperwork looked like. I also knew how easily a person like me retired, alone. With medical experience could be painted as someone diverting medication. I sank onto the arm of the sofa, gripping the bottle so tightly the plastic creaked. Why would you do this? The question slipped out before I could swallow it back. My phone buzzed on the table. A text from my daughter-in-law. Hope you're resting. We might be home later than planned. Take care, Mom. We'll be home later, if everything goes well. My hands shook so badly I had to set the phone down. The whispered words from earlier replayed in my head. It is done. Call the police tonight. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what this bottle meant. He knew the police would find it. I looked at the forged signature one more time. My own name twisted into something dangerous. I carried the pill bottle to the kitchen table and laid it beside a stack of unopened envelopes. They had been arriving for weeks, all with my name printed too sharply, too cleanly, like someone else had typed it. I tore one open. Overdraft notice. Negative balance. Immediate action required. The date was from 2 weeks ago. I never opened it because my son had said, I will sort your mail, Mom. Some of it is junk. He took half the pile that day and tossed it into his bag. I noticed unusual withdrawals over the past few weeks. 380, then 650, all showing as authorized. My heart sank. Another envelope held a bank alert listing a withdrawal I had never made. $380, then another $650, all authorized, all under my name. My throat tightened. I remembered standing in the living room a month earlier. My son had walked in, holding his phone up. Mom, I need a clear picture of your ID for the phone plan, he said. I laughed then. Teasing. How many plans does one family need? He did not laugh back. He took the photo quickly and slipped the card into my purse without a word. My daughter-in-law's behavior clicked into place next. The careful smiles, the soft voice, the way she never let her eyes linger too long on mine, as if she was afraid something might spill out. I looked at the overdraft notices spreading across the table, the forged refill form beside them, the pill bottle between my hands. The room tightened around me, as if every envelope had been waiting for this moment. I brought the envelopes to my bedroom and set them on the bed, forcing myself to open every single one. The deeper I went, the harder it became to keep my breath even. One letter was different, thicker, stamped with a company name I did not recognize. Harbor Ridge Consulting Group. I unfolded the papers inside and felt the blood leave my face. A loan agreement. $15,000. Borrower Linnea Carver. My address. My birthday. My signature. Copied so neatly it looked like a photograph of my hand. I whispered, No, this is not real. even as my fingers traced the lines I never signed. The next page listed fees, late fees, processing fees, something called field recovery charges. Then a number at the bottom, $22,400 owed. My phone buzzed suddenly, a voicemail from an unfamiliar number, a man's voice, low and irritated. "This is your final notice. Your son promised payment this week, if he cannot cover what he owes. The responsibility falls to the account holder. We will not wait again." I sat down slowly, the bed dipping under my weight. Another message followed. This one from last night. "We know where you live. Ms. Carver, tell your son to answer his phone." I pressed the phone to my chest, trying to steady the tremor moving through me. He had taken the loan under my name. He had missed payments. They were coming after me because, legally, I was the borrower. Framing me with the pill bottle would make perfect sense to someone cornered like that. If I were arrested or hospitalized, he would have more time he could not find anywhere else. The motive was no longer tangled. It was painfully clear. I sat on the edge of my bed with the loan papers spread beside me, the pill bottle still resting in my palm. Every part of me wanted to find an excuse for him, to tell myself there was something I misunderstood. But the truth was already laid out, line after line, in my own forged signature. I reached for my phone and scrolled to a number I had not called in years. "Marcia, it's Linnea." She gasped a little. "Linnea. Honey, are you all right? You sound shaken. I need to ask you something about controlled substances." I said, my voice trembled despite my effort. If someone found a hospital-issued opioid bottle in my possession, what would it mean? She did not hesitate. It would mean trouble, serious trouble. If the paperwork links to you, it can turn into a criminal case within hours. I closed my eyes. Even if I did not take anything, intent does not matter at first. She said softly, "They look at the evidence before the story." I pressed a hand to my mouth. "Linnea," she continued, voice lowering, "if someone is trying to pin this on you, you need to protect yourself. Tonight, do not wait." After we hung up, I sat very still, the weight of her words settling over me. I had spent my entire life stepping between my son and consequences, patching every mistake, smoothing every rough edge, but there was no space left to absorb this one. Not without losing myself entirely, I placed the pill bottle on the table. For the first time in his life, I chose not to shield him. I moved through the house slowly, as if any loud sound might crack the thin shell holding me together. The first thing I did was place the pill bottle on the kitchen counter and photograph it from every angle. I photographed the coat. 2, the pocket slightly stretched where he had pushed it in. Then the forged signature. I set the paper beside my real ID and took another picture. My hands trembling so hard the phone nearly slipped. My hands trembled so much the phone nearly slipped. I cursed under my breath. Taking a deep breath to focus, I whispered to myself, "You need to stay focused." Though each breath felt unsteady, I dialed the non-emergency police line. A woman answered, her voice calm. "This is Officer Ramirez. What is your concern?" "Ma'am, my name is Linnea Carver," I said. "Someone may try to make a false report about me tonight. I have evidence. I do not want anyone surprised." She let a bead of silence pass. What kind of evidence? A bottle of controlled medication? A forged pharmacy form? I believe they were planted in my home. Her voice changed firmer, more alert. "Do not touch anything else. Leave all items where you photographed them. If a report is filed against you, officers will arrive and speak to you first. Stay where you are. Keep your phone on. I am alone." I murmured, "My son. He may be involved." "I understand," she replied gently. "You did the right thing calling us. We will review whatever comes in. After I hung up, the house felt unbearably quiet. I turned on one lamp in the living room, then sat on the edge of the sofa with my hands clasped so tightly my knuckles ached. Hours crawled by. Shadows shifted along the walls. Every passing car made my shoulders jerk. I reheard his whisper, "It is done. Call the police tonight," until the words blended into the rhythm of my heartbeat. My phone lay on the cushion beside me, screen dark, waiting. I stayed there as the sky outside deepened into night, bracing myself for the knock I knew was coming. The knock came just after 9, 3 sharp raps, steady and controlled. I rose from the sofa, legs stiff, and opened the door to 2 uniformed officers. Officer Ramirez, whom I had spoken to, and a younger man beside her. "Ms. Carver," she said quietly, "we received a call. Someone reported suspected drug possession connected to this address. We came here first. As discussed." My breath lodged in my throat. He called already. Before she could answer, headlights swept across the driveway. My son's car pulled in fast, too fast, and the doors slammed. He and my daughter-in-law rushed up the walkway. "Mom," he said loudly, feigning confusion. "What is going on? Why are the police here?" My daughter-in-law stepped forward, voice trembling. "Officers, please, she has been acting strange all week. We have been worried." And their concern was practiced. Neat. Almost rehearsed. Officer Ramirez lifted a hand. "Both of you, step back. We are speaking with Ms. Carver." My son turned to me, wide-eyed. "Mom, did someone tell them something? Did you do something with your medications?" I stared at him. The innocence in his voice made my stomach twist. "I have something to show you," I said. My voice did not shake. That surprised me. I led the officers inside. My son and daughter-in-law followed, despite Ramirez's warning. On the kitchen counter, the evidence sat exactly where I had left it. "That bottle," I said, "was planted in my coat pocket earlier today. I took these photos." I handed Officer Ramirez my phone. She scrolled slowly the coat, the stretched pocket, the bottle, the forged refill form beside my ID. My son stepped forward. "Mom, that is not do not interrupt," Ramirez said sharply. My daughter-in-law's hand slipped into his, her fingers cold and rigid. Ramirez lifted the forged form. "Ms. Carver, is this your signature?" "No," I said, "and I can prove it." The younger officer turned to my son. "Sir, we need to check your phone. A call reporting this address came in minutes ago." My son's face tightened. "Why, I did not. There must be a mistake." "Phone," the officer repeated. Reluctantly, he handed it over. The officer tapped through the recent call log, then looked up at Ramirez. "Outgoing call at 8:58, he said. Same number that reported the tip. A long silence fell across the room. My son swallowed hard. I panicked. I thought someone put that bottle in Mom's things. I was trying to help. I felt something inside me pull loose. Ramirez handed the phone back to him. "Sir, you need to stop talking." My daughter-in-law's voice cracked. "We were trying to protect the family. Things have been hard." The officers exchanged a look, one that said they had seen this kind of unraveling before. I placed a hand on the counter to steady myself. My son would not meet my eyes. At the station, the fluorescent lights made everything look harsher. My son sat in a room down the hall, the door half closed, officers moving in and out with calm efficiency. I heard fragments of his voice tight, defensive, rising with panic, then falling into a low, exhausted murmur. A detective guided me to a bench outside the interview rooms. "We will speak with you again shortly. Miss Carver, please wait here." I nodded, though my throat felt too tight to speak. My daughter-in-law slid into the seat beside me. Her hands shook in her lap. For a long moment, she did not look at me. Then she whispered, "He did sign your name." I told him not to. He said he had no choice. I kept my eyes on the gray tile floor. "You both could have come to me." "He was drowning," she said. The collectors started calling. He thought, if something happened to you just for a little while, he would have more time. I felt the air leave my lungs, so he planned for me to be taken away. I said, not raising my voice. That was the answer he chose. She covered her face with her hands. "I am so sorry. I should have stopped him." An officer appeared in the doorway. "Miss Carver," he said gently. "Your son confirmed the forged documents. He admits he used your information to secure the loan. We will process everything tonight." I closed my eyes, letting the truth settle without fighting it. The boy who once handed me heart-shaped stones on the banks of the James River was nowhere in this building. The man sitting in that room had taken his place long before tonight. I had simply refused to see it. I sat straighter, folding my hands in my lap. The part of me that had believed he would never hurt me felt something inside it go quiet, like a door shutting softly in the dark. My son entered supervised treatment the following week, a structured program arranged through the court. When he called me from the center, his voice sounded thinner, stripped of its usual urgency. "Mom," he said quietly, "I am sorry for everything." I listened without interrupting. His apology did not undo the harm, but it was the first honest thing he had offered me in a long time. "I hope you get better," I told him. It was the only truth I had left to give. After weeks of arranging finances and reflecting on everything, I finally packed my things in Carytown. It was smaller, yes, and emptier, but it was mine in a way nothing had been for years. I no longer lived inside anyone's shadow or fear. The first night there, I placed my old blue coat on a hook by the door. Clean, empty, harmless. A reminder that I would never again ignore the weight in my own pockets. "Come join us," the woman at the community center had said when she saw me reading their bulletin. I hesitated, then signed up for an early morning art class. On the first day, she handed me a brush. "Paint whatever you want," she said. My hand shook as I touched color to canvas, but the line held steady. It felt like breathing again after a very long winter. Life did not become perfect, but it became mine. And that was enough. If my story meant something to you, I hope you will like this video. Leave a comment and subscribe for more stories. Thank you for listening to mine.